What's up, guys? So today I'm going to go over my top 10 tips of why you're not at that blue belt level yet, or maybe reasons why you don't feel like you're getting there. I'm just going to go over 10 tips. Make sure you stick around to the end because I have a bonus tip for y'all. Let's get into it. So just a quick background on me before we get into the video. I am a purple belt. I got my purple belt about 2, 3 months ago. So this is just me and my opinion on how to go from white to blue in a quicker way, so that you can progress faster if that's what your goal is. Hopefully this video helps with that. So the first one might seem obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Not enough mat time or classes attended. Again, this one's very obvious, but it's crazy the amount of students that often attend their first classes, maybe their first month, maybe a couple months in, and they already think that they're ready for that next belt level, the blue belt. So realistically, white to blue varies a lot on a lot of different factors. I've seen white belts get their blue in a span of 5 to 6 months. However, these athletes are typically the ones that come from another martial art. Some of them come from wrestling, or they might just be like an outlier athlete that picks these things up so quickly that 5 to 6 months just makes sense for them. If your gym follows IBJJF protocol, then you'll know from white to blue belt, there's no set standard for the amount of time it may take. I've also seen white belts take 6 years plus to get their blue belt. It all just depends. The average that seems to be the middle ground for most people is about 1.5 to 2.5 years. This is only my personal opinion on the guide to blue belt. Personally, it took me roughly 2 years to get my blue belt. From when I started training, I had no prior experience, no wrestling, no other martial art, no judo. I took minimal, very minimal time off. I had minimal injuries that kept me off the mat. I took my training very seriously. I probably went to train at least 3 to 5 times a week, maybe sometimes a little more if I doubled up. Hopefully that can give you an idea of a rough time estimate on the commitment needed to achieve that blue belt level. Number two, this one kind of ties into the first one, but it's a little bit different. Inconsistent training. So in the first one I said if you have not enough mat time or classes attended, well, say you do have that mat time and the classes attended are there, right? If you're inconsistently training, that might be the gap in your game. Some gyms host a curriculum. So if you're gone every year from March to April, and that's the time that their curriculum goes on doing mount or side control, and then the rest of the year you're filling in the rest of your game. Well, those might be some gaps that you're actually not filling in, and that might be the gap needed to close in order to get to that next level. So start showing up on a consistent basis, and I guarantee people will start to notice if you weren't consistent before. Number three, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, but that's all right. Go ahead. You're using too much strength. So this one is typically what I see is in, the white belts who are just big, can muscle out of anything. They can hulk out of anything. This one's definitely controversial. What I'm referring to is the guy who hulks out of everything and thinks they truly escaped, or spazzes out of everything thinking that they actually escaped. Sometimes they might be, prior bodybuilder, relying on bench pressing, explosive movements for everything when it comes to rolling. Sure, there's times to use strength, but at the white belt level, your focus should really be on relying on the actual technique. Plus, it preserves your gas tank too when you don't use your strength for the whole match. Number four is that you're not coachable. This sometimes falls into an area where maybe you've been coming for a few months, maybe you're able to handle some of the newer students well, and that's good. Maybe you've calmed down a little bit, you're not spazzing as much, but now you may be getting egotistical in a way that you think you're becoming the best practitioner in the gym. I feel like this happens sometimes in gyms. It just, with the people that are coming in, they're new, they don't maybe exactly know what's going on. You start to get a couple techniques under your belt. And I have to preface this with saying a lot of gyms, just from what I've experienced, they don't go 100% with the white belts. And I feel like that's kind of been my experience in all the gyms that I've visited. It isn't until blue belt where the upper belts really start unraveling more of their game, because you have been coming along enough. You should know some of the defenses. You can handle more of the pressure. So it's a little bit of an egotistical thing. It can be. But I think this egotistical thing comes from not being coachable also. So, upper belts don't want your enthusiasm to be crushed and they want to see you succeed. Trust me, they really do. The moment you begin to think you know more than other students and coaches is the exact moment that people will start to pass you up for promotions too. The mental barrier is hard to get over sometimes, but if you can adopt a humble attitude through your jiu-jitsu journey with the mentality of always trying to learn something new, even if you think you know it already, your game will be progressing and you'll get so much closer to receiving your blue belt. Number 5, you're not learning fundamental techniques or fundamental movements. This kind of goes without saying, but I had to put it in anyway. There are certain ways to move that are more proficient than others. Shrimping, bridging, break falls, basic positional names, basic submission names, frames. That's just a few to name, but they tend to make up the beginning foundations of what you can build your game on. Not having some of these concepts down and even forgetting them can definitely hinder your progression and ultimately keep you from that next level. If you don't know when to bridge or when to shrimp or different ways of shrimping, that's definitely going to hinder you. Know the fundamental movements and what beginner moves your gym expects to see from you before getting to that next level. Number 6, you're not calm when rolling. So this is the spazzy white belt who thinks every roll is life or death, ADCC qualifying roll, or you don't have the mental clarity that the movements could inevitably hurt or injure your training partners. Typically, I've seen this at the first couple stripes of white belt. Sometimes it bleeds into a little bit later of the white belt, maybe some of the blue belt. Sometimes it can be all through white belt. But when you receive your blue belt, you should really understand the concept of rolling in a calm way. It's when people get flustered that sporadic movements can start to injure students. That's not to say that you can't be explosive, but there's definitely safe ways of doing it. Once you start getting closer to that blue belt level, you definitely start to understand the foundational concepts of how to move and how to explode so that the roll is safe for both you and your partner, right? When your movements are smoother and more controlled, you look like an upper belt, right? If you saw somebody and their movements were just like spastic and you wouldn't think that they have a firm grasp on jiu-jitsu in general. And that goes in the same way. It's definitely a great sign of maturity for the next belt level. And this also ties into submissions too. Sporadic submissions, 0% to 100% is not cool at any belt level. Tying back to the sign of belt maturity of that next blue belt level or whatever, you really need to focus on taking a submission in a very smooth, controlled manner. We're all trying to keep each other safe. And if you can't do that, you're definitely not ready for that next belt level. Number 7, you still can't handle the new students that come in, or maybe the same level students that are your size. Maybe they've had less training time. But if they're kind of the same level and you've been coming a little bit longer, more or less, you should be able to handle them. They should not be able to be pinning you down. This is all kind of subjective too, just because this is my opinion. But say a new student walks in, no prior experience, y'all are the same weight, y'all are the same height, same age. Literally, the only difference is that you've had 6 months to a year jump start on your jiu-jitsu training than they have. Are you finding yourself getting stuck and not being able to handle them if your gym allows rolling at that level? If so, that may be a sign that there are some pivotal fundamental gaps in your game. Okay? This also doesn't mean to be a mat bully to them either. That's definitely not the mark of a good blue belt. The definition of a blue belt, according to Helio Gracie, is someone able to submit a larger untrained opponent. And again, nowhere does it say to be a bully to the new guy. Number 8, you don't learn from your errors. Have you ever been getting the same submission hit on you for months and still can't figure out why? At some point, you need to analyze your game and figure out how to get submitted less, stay on top more, sweep more, and overall just stay in control against multiple types of training partners. This also involves quite a bit of studying outside the gym, and refusing to address these gaps will inevitably hold you back. On the converse, studying and filling in these gaps will get you to the next level quicker. Number 9, you avoid hard rolls. We all do this sometimes, but if you are always doing it, it may be holding you back. I'm not saying always go against the hardest people in the gym all the time, but there are some days that you need to headhunt upper belts, bigger people, and push your boundaries. You need to always constantly be in a situation of making the upper belts kind of question if you're going to catch them or not. You making them second guess. I think that is a pivotal point from me being a purple belt, from somebody about to get their blue. If they are starting to headhunt me and really start to attack and make me think about defending more, I think that's a pivotal step of that white to blue belt level. One concept that I also firmly believe in is the concept of always rolling with people who are not always 80-20, rolling with 80% of people that you're better than, and then that 20% being the people that are better than you. So that 20% falls into those days where you seek out those hard rolls, you seek out the upper belts, you seek out the people who are fresh. They're not tired at the end of class, and you just try to jump on them last minute because you know they're tired and you might catch them. You need those 20% of hard rolls in there, and if you're avoiding them, that might be the gap not getting you to that next level. Number 10, not following your gym's expectations. This one is hard to address in a way because each gym is so different from the next. One gym may say promotions are purely attendance based, while others may say it's strictly competition based. I'm not here to say one way is better than the other, but what I am here to say is that objective is never verbalized to you. How are you supposed to achieve it? It's good to have some respectful private conversations with instructors every so often to see if you're improving or moving in the right direction. Also, some gyms have a curriculum and may require knowledge and a firm applicable grasp of these in live rolling scenarios. Sometimes this may include extra training reps on those specifically to fill in your gaps. And number 11 for y'all's bonus. This is just my opinion, but I think most upper belts would agree with me. If you are tying your belt incorrectly, don't expect to be promoted to blue belt level. If you're a blue belt, you need to know how to tie your belt correctly. This tip isn't an absolute, it's just my personal opinion. If you train in a no-gi gym specifically, this tip might not matter to you too much. But it's not that hard to learn, and I personally think it instills a better level of authority if you're wanting your blue belt. I have a video right here, so you can go see how to tie your belt correctly. This is just the way that I do it. It's been working for me. I like it. That's just what I do. So that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments if I missed any or what you thought on any of these tips. If you disagree with me, put it in the comments. And I hope these genuinely help you on your jiu-jitsu journey. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please go like, subscribe, comment, share this video with everybody. I would really appreciate it. It helps the channel out and it helps me figure out what content y'all want to see and what content I can put out in the future. Until next time, happy rolling.